This presentation is to illustrate the SampleServe digital chain of custody process for real-time tracking in the cannabis industry. The purpose is to track lab test results, product inventory, and state tax and fee compliance. The cannabis sampling flow process is summarized with this graphic. Many states require that bulk product be sampled and analyzed for herbicides, pesticides, E. coli, THC, and other contaminants. Each state regulation varies in the quantities which require sampling and the sampling process. However, in general, most states require third-party sampling. As illustrated here, the grower would have a certain amount of bulk material that needs to have a sample collected. In this graphic, a third-party sampler would use the mobile application with the three-part authentication and collect the sample and apply labels to both the sample and the bulk package that the sample came from. That sample would be delivered to the lab using the digital chain of custody process. The lab will do the testing and analysis and, upon completion, upload the lab data details back to the platform. The grower or any other party with an interest in the results could, using the mobile application, simply scan the barcode or QR code that was left on the bulk product package. The results of the lab tests would be revealed on the mobile application and indicate whether the sample passed or failed. The user could then also look up the details of the laboratory analysis if desired. Here's how our patented digital chain of custody works. When a sample is collected, we verify the sampler's identity using three-part authentication. The first way we authenticate the user is through the sampler's unique username and password. The second part of the authentication is upon sample collection, we require the user to sign their name on the screen using either a stylus or their fingertip. For the third part of the authentication, we require the user to take a selfie with each sample collected. In addition to recording those three authentication factors, we also collect the GPS coordinates for the location of the sample, and we also collect the date and time stamp. Our patents also include the ability to incorporate other biometric factors such as fingertips, retina scans, facial recognition, or other types of personal identification. In order to do a custody transfer with another party, we use the same process. The sample collector would identify the sample or samples they are relinquishing custody for. They then go through the three-part authentication process and indicate that they are relinquishing custody. The new person that is taking custody will either scan the sample using the barcode QR code reader, or they will receive a notification of their custody transfer being initiated by the other user, along with the sample IDs. They then go through their own three-part authentication process and accept custody of the samples. The platform then recognizes in real time that the new person is in possession of the sample or samples that have been transferred. Again, the time and GPS location is recorded for both parts of the custody transfer. Other key parts of the application are as follows. An administrator for a company that subscribes to the platform would assign or unassign users as needed. Each user is required to have a unique username and password. Samples are treated like evidence, and as such, every transfer of custody requires authentication by both parties. The transfer data can be used to assure compliance and validation with things like sample hold times, sample delivery details, etc. Regulators can also review this information to determine whether or not sampling was done in accordance with established protocol. Digital chain of custody works with inventory and tax and fee compliance in a similar fashion. Every change of custody of inventory is tracked and recorded in real time using the digital chain of custody process. When product is repackaged into smaller packages or processed into other products such as food products or oils, new barcoded labels are printed and quantities in custody are tracked using the new labels. However, the source product and custody records as well as the laboratory data are maintained. Depending on state-specific requirements, any taxes or fees due at each transaction can be calculated and collected and submitted to the proper authority as applicable. The benefits of the digital chain of custody to the cannabis industry are numerous. The platform's My Custody feature allows for regulators and users of the platform to have the ability to do real-time tracking of product inventory. Platform customers will be able to know who is in possession of what inventory down to the half gram at any given moment. Custody and quantity calculations are performed in real time. The customer benefits by knowing proper inventory. This helps with loss control, accountability, and simple logistics. State regulators benefit by also having insight into real-time inventory and tax and fee compliance enforcement. Regulator oversight becomes simple. The time and effort to assure compliance becomes automated. Chain of custody can be tracked from seed to sale and backwards from sale to seed. Simply scanning a barcode on a retail package will allow consumers to see the path to market and the origin and handlers of their product. They will also be able to access laboratory data and be assured that their product is safe. A regulator will be able to show up at a warehouse and know the real-time inventory of that warehouse. The same is true for transportation vehicles and dispensaries. Regulator audits become simple, efficient, and accurate. The way the platform works is summarized as follows. The system consists of one central database. Each type of user has their own app specific to the needs of that particular user type. For instance, a grower has its own custom app specific to growers. Laboratories have their own app specific to their needs. Transportation companies have their own app. Processors have their own app, and warehouse users have their own app. Dispensaries have their own custom application to help with their unique inventory control needs. The retail customer has an application so they can track product origin and laboratory results if desired. Most importantly, the regulator has an application that allows them to audit any of the other user groups in real time. At any given point in the flow, if a product is repackaged, new labels can be generated. All the various user apps have the ability to read barcodes and QR codes, and of course, the regulator will have real-time inventory status of any individual user. As mentioned previously, the application can also calculate and collect any taxes or fees due at any step or transaction interval as applicable in a specific state. These revenues can then be submitted in real time to the proper regulatory entities. If you have any questions regarding the patented digital chain of custody process or the business model presented, I can be contacted at the phone number and email presented here. Thank you.